morning. Welcome to Wilmer Hutchins High School, but more importantly, welcome to the 2018-19 school year, and more importantly, welcome to the 2018-19 CILT Kickoff. Let me take care of a few very important pieces first. Is the principal of Wilmer Hutchins High School here, Mr. Jason Campbell? Can we give him and his leadership team a thank you for hosting us today? Of course, he gets to say for the rest of the year, remember that time we launched CILT at Wilmer Hutchins High School? So with that, my name's Israel Cordero, Dallas ISD, Deputy Superintendent, and it's an honor here to welcome you this morning and to kick off CILT today for the 2018-19 school year. I want to share with you that there's a lot of great things that have been happening in the Dallas Independent School District, specifically over the last 3 years. ACE has been implemented and it has been wildly successful. We expanded the number of collegiate academies from 5 to 23. One in virtually every comprehensive high school in the district. We've done so much more, but along with those accolades, there will now be one more thing that we can say is a feather in Dallas ISD's cap, and that is bringing back the campus instructional leadership team. And I can tell you firsthand, from having been an administrator, a campus administrator for 10 years in this school district, there was a secret sauce that helped me as an assistant principal, elementary principal, and a high school principal. When folks say, how did you do it? The first thing I ever said was a great leadership team. But inside of that bracket of that great leadership team that helped move the needle for kids was that campus instructional leadership team. Of course, we know some of our savvy principals in this district. I'm sure if I was to ask you to raise your hand, how many of you kept CILT? You know, there'd be at least a dozen hands that went up. So don't worry, that was rhetorical, so you could put your hands back down. But we know how things work, and we know that you all continued to do that because that was great for your campus, it was great for your community, and it was great for kids. But now we have officially launched it. There are some very powerful women on this stage, as Dr. Hinojosa likes to say, and I want to just call out two very specifically. Chief of Schools, Ms. Stephanie Elizalde. She walked up to me one day and she said, Israel, I want CILT to come back. And I told her just a few seconds ago, and just like that, CILT came back. And the other powerful woman that helped make this a reality was Dr. Yvonne Durant, our Chief Academic Officer. And with that, let me welcome everyone else who's on stage. Our Chief of Staff, Pam Lear. Deputy Chief of School Leadership, Dr. Sharon Quinn and Brian Lusk. Deputy Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Nikki Mouton. We are so fortunate to have amazing teams who are committed to the success of our students, teachers, and families. To that end, I'd like to thank the members of Teaching and Learning Leadership Team and ask them, you may be in the audience, to please stand so we can recognize all of the Teaching and Learning Team. And only 4 stood up because the rest are in the breakout sessions getting ready for you. We also want to thank school leadership, and we want the executive directors and the rest of school leadership to please stand so we can recognize you. Dr. Hinojosa doesn't like long welcomes, but since it was written for me, I'm going to go ahead and read it anyway. I always wanted to do that. An education leader with a consistent track record of transforming urban school districts, Michael Hinojosa is a veteran of more than 22 years of school district leadership, superintendency leadership. His career in public education from teacher and coach to superintendent CEO spans 3 decades, including leadership at 2 of the 25 largest school systems in America. Yes, the Dallas Independent School District, and in case you didn't notice, Cobb County School District in suburban Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome back, Dr. Hinojosa. Today he is at the helm of Dallas ISD for a second time, approaching 9 years of superintendency service to the district, where he graduated high school and began his career as an educator. His record of improving academic performance, by the way, he was the key in making CILT happen. They came to me and said, can we bring CILT back? Because they knew I'd have to go to Dr. Hinojosa. His record of improving academic performance in urban school districts is based on a firm belief that education, not environment, is a key to student success. As a frequent speaker and advisor to educational leadership organizations in Texas and the United States, Hinojosa is a past president of TASA and has garnered numerous other awards and recognitions. He was named Superintendent of the Year by Texas Association of School Boards in 2002 and selected as the state's top superintendent by the University of Texas in Austin in 2005. His alma mater, the College of Education at Texas Tech University, named him a distinguished alumnus, and he was honored as Outstanding Latino Educator by the Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents. Hinojosa and his wife, Kitty, have 2 sons, both graduates of Ivy League schools, Princeton and Harvard University. His son from a previous marriage graduated from Texas Tech University. All 3 attended Dallas ISD schools for a significant portion of their K-12 education. Please welcome Dr. Hinojosa to the stage.
Thank you, Israel. Good morning, Dallas ISD. Good morning. Buenos dias. Okay, we're bilingual. I can do my rest of my talk in Spanish. First of all, thank you for what you do. I'm so proud of the employees of the Dallas ISD. We are on a roll. We are getting recognized at the state and in the country. Some of the things that you have pulled off are nothing short of phenomenal. To go every metric that we look at, there's a very positive trend line. And I've been very pleased to be back in the district and working with such talented individuals. And as I've been watching the school finance testimony, they're pointing out things that Dallas ISD is doing. And it has really been exciting. And in fact, because of your great work and the success, and like I tell my team all the time, effort is good, but results are better, and the results keep getting better. Because of your hard work. In fact, 3 people who can't stand us wanted this past year to come to Dallas ISD to take a photo op with Dallas ISD. The Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, the governor and the lieutenant governor. They all came to Dallas to get photo ops with us. Imagine that. And politics makes for strange bedfellows. But when you're having success, success breeds success. And so it's a lot of hard work, and you've done it with one arm tied behind your back. We didn't even have much of a PD department. We didn't even have a curriculum. We didn't even have CILT. And somehow you've been able to pull off all these miracles. And when we give you the tools, there's no telling what we can get done. So thank you for all of that. And Israel, I appreciate that, that introduction, even if I wrote it myself. Well, ever since my mom died, nobody says anything nice about me. So I had to have Israel read that. Because, you know, they really don't believe that. They just, but, you know, and so, you know, But, you know, one thing about Israel, even though he's Latino and he grew up in El Paso and he speaks Spanish, he still didn't get the name quite right. It's Eliú Misael Hinojosa de los Reyes Valdez Salazar Gómez Gutiérrez. And that's why they call me Mikey, baby. You know, so a lot of people don't know what to call me. You know, they don't know to call me, and I prefer to be called Michael, but somehow people can't say that. And some people, Dr. Hinojosa. And then some people just, I really like Doc, you know, because it's a lot easier to say, because some people, you know, just aren't very verbal. But I really love it when they call me Big Papa. Big Papa, that's right. Okay, so why are we here? We're here to celebrate the rebirth of CILT. And actually, I need to have one technical correction. When I came to Dallas back, you know, I was a student here and I was a teacher here. I couldn't even get an interview as an assistant principal, so don't give up, you know. I finally got an interview in Dallas twice for superintendent, and they were dumb enough to hire me twice. But you know, part of this is, you know, first of all, I'm not the superintendent, it's the superintendency. And that's my superintendency right there. It's all those smart people that I work with that help me do my job. And I tell the principals every time I talk to them when they come in, and I get to hire every principal. And when they come across, I always talk to them about, you're not the principal, it's the principalship. And you're part of that ship. And that's why a technical clarification, CILT was already in place when I got back to Dallas. But one of the things I recognize, and I always believe that even though you're the leader, you're only as good as your people. And if you don't have good people, and if you can't develop your people, and you can't lead your people, and you can't help your people move your organization, whether it's a school, whether it's a division, whether it's a school district, then it doesn't really even matter, because we're in the people business. Our salaries, you know, 85% of the money that we spend in this district out of $1.5 billion is payroll related. We are a labor-intensive organization. And so it's the people that you surround yourself with that help you be successful. And so in 2005, when I was here, CILT was in place. And then I kept it, and we made it robust. Then it went away, you know, for whatever reason. But some of you kept it anyway. You were smart. And then some of you, now that we're officially bringing it back. And of course, we have to... Now we have TEI, and there's some things that you can get leadership credit for. But it's also, we had some of you that were with us before. We had 22 institutes, Dallas Achieves Institutes, when I was here from 2005 to 2011. And the Dallas Achieves Institutes included all of the CILT team members. And that's where we went together as we learned the principles of learning from the Institute of Learning. And when we started implementing high rigor in our classrooms, and it couldn't be done. The principal can't come, get capacity, and then go back and anoint people. In my opinion, it has to be done with a group because, you know, really, most principals are brilliant, but they still can't get it all done by themselves. They need people, boots on the ground, who hear the same thing. When they go back as a team, you can implement much better, much better. I believe that command decisions are easy to make and hard to implement. Consensus decisions are messy. They take a long time, a lot more people involved, but implementation is much faster and deeper because you got boots on the ground, people who've heard the same message, who are going to carry this heavy lifting, this Lord's work that you do back together. And that's what this is about. Now, I have my executive leadership team. Words matter. I don't have a cabinet. Only a president, except for this president, should have a cabinet. I'm just a superintendent. I have an executive leadership team. They are executives. They are leaders and they are a team. All of those words matter. You're not a cabinet where you go tell people what to do. You're a team. Campus, instructional, leadership, team. Those words matter. Campus, schools. You're held accountable for how much you improve the learning for your students. And you do it on a site, and our parents and our staff believe in you. Instructional. We do a lot of things as school people. But instruction, you got to keep the main thing the main thing. And as you go work and try to compete with charter schools and you try to do all these other things, and you got to meet your accountability metrics, but instruction is what's going to get you there. So it is an instructional. And it's leadership. You lead people and you manage things. You lead people. That's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be leading all of these great teachers that we have in this district. And unfortunately, we have a lot of young teachers who may not have as much experience as some others do. They have a great heart. It takes a while to learn the art and science of teaching. I'm glad there were no cell phones when I was a first-year teacher. I would have to pay back the Dallas ISD some money because I was a terrible teacher my first year. You have to learn the art and science of teaching, and you do it with someone working with you at elbow, helping you, not someone browbeating you and telling you that you can't do it. And that's what leadership is about. Leading other people. And you've been selected to be part of this CILT team for a reason. And so be proud of that. But team is also important. By the way, I have the most talented people on the stage that I've ever worked with in my career. Sometimes we struggle being a team because, we're all so good. But I'd rather fly with a bunch of eagles than a bunch of turkeys. I'd rather have a bunch of thoroughbreds than a bunch of mules. But being a team is hard. Being a team is hard. And I remember when I was coaching at Adamson High School back many years ago, I had to get rid of my best player because I caught him drinking on campus. He was my meal ticket. I was the youngest head basketball coach in the history of Dallas, and I was going to be a college basketball coach, and he was my meal ticket. He was 6'5". He could play point, post, or wing. He was the smartest kid I had on my team, and I taught government. He was the smartest student I had, and he was drinking, and I had to kick him off the team. But what I found out after I kicked him off the team is he was the cancer on the team. Our team was underperforming because he wanted to grab every rebound and go coast to coast and score on the other end, and it was all about him. It wasn't about the team. Once I got rid of the cancer, our team came together. We won 20 of our last 22 games, and we were the last team to beat Hillcrest, who won the state championship in 1987. So team is important. But when you're part of a team, you have to give up some of your personal goals for the goal of the team. And so you got to remember that all of this stuff works together. And if you're going to really do the Lord's work and help urban children become successful, then sometimes you have to sacrifice some of the things that you want to do for the betterment of the team. And CILT gives us the best opportunity to do that going forward. And so you're going to be hearing about that. Those things are going to be put together for you. But you're only going to get out of this what you put into it yourself as well. And so I highly encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity. And I encourage the principals. I have a group called the Principal Group. And I take the top 10 to 15 principals in the district, and I work with them for a year with my Chief of Staff, Pam Lear, and we build capacity in that team. I'm very proud that this is my 24th year as superintendent, and in my career now, 31 people who have worked with me have gone on to become superintendents. And there are a couple more on this stage, but I'm not going to tell you who they are yet. But part of that is it's your job to build capacity in others so they can become principals, so they can become leaders. It helps everybody if you look at that in that perspective. So you're going to learn some things. Some of you that were part of CILT teams before, we're going to move this thing forward, and it's going to be part of our core work as we continue to do great things for students. So I'll finish up with three things. I'll finish up with, first of all, always look to the past with pride. I'm very proud that I'm an immigrant. I'm very proud that I'm from Oak Cliff. And I'm very proud that I was a teacher. And so wherever you come from, what you do, your skill sets that you've acquired is an accumulation of your experiences. So it doesn't matter if you've had a great upbringing or not. What's gotten you into this room is that you've been able to look back with pride, and you've done something with your life, and you've put it together so that people have recognized that you have some talent and that you can be part of a leadership team. So always be proud of who you are and where you come from, even if it wasn't easy and even if it wasn't glamorous. In fact, it's even better if it wasn't easy and it wasn't glamorous. Second thing, the present. When you're in the present, you always need to be excited about the work that you're doing, especially if you're a leader, because people are going to look to you. If you come up and say, I don't know why they put me on CILT team. Nobody else would do it. That inspires no confidence. Everything you do, you should do with enthusiasm, because I promise you nothing great has ever been accomplished without enthusiasm. So if you're in the present, be enthusiastic about your work. You're a leader. People are watching you. And leaders, some people get all hung up with titles and stuff. It's not about the title. It's about who are the leaders, and that's the informal leaders who really do the real work. So be enthusiastic. And then let me close with the future. A lot of people are all concerned about the future. I'm not. I'm excited about the future. I look to the future with hope and aspiration because I see these young people, the things that we're pulling off now. The fact that, this is amazing, that this year, 25% of our 14-year-olds and 25% of our 15-year-olds in Dallas ISD are enrolled in a college course. I'm excited about the fact that we now have a very robust early learning program where we're teaching 4-year-olds full day and 3-year-olds half day. Oh, that's my time. Tardy bells, over. And even if we have to go to a daycare center and take a certified teacher to a daycare center, it's our job to give these kids an equalized chance. So from cradle to pre-career, I'm excited about the future. And I'm really excited about the future because we brought CILT back, and you're going to pull it off. Thank you very much. Let's have a great day.
Whoa, let's hear it for Dr. Hinojosa again. Come on, guys. Oh, my Lord. Woo! The superintendent of superintendents. Well, good morning, everyone. I am Yvonne Durant, and I am your chief academic officer. I want to welcome you back, as Dr. Hinojosa said, to the rebirth of a district-wide campus improvement leadership team. Look around the room. This is not just your campus anymore, or even your area or your feeder pattern. This is the entire district. So we've got them up there, and we've got them in the cafeteria. We've got them all over the place. So one of the things that we know right now is that we need each one of you. We need each one of you to help us do the work that we've rolled out for our district. Without your help, we're not going to be moving forward with that enthusiasm that Dr. Hinojosa spoke about, with that principleship that he spoke about. It's that ship that we're going to be needing more than ever. So today is going to be a day that I guarantee you're going to be very, very pleasantly both surprised and not surprised, because you've been rolling with us this summer and you know exactly the kind of curriculum we're rolling out. And as we roll out our curriculum and we expand our existing programs, we need that equity in delivery. So everybody gets the same curriculum, but we also need to equalize the delivery. And that comes through the work that you do as our teams, our instructional leadership teams. The research, folks, the research is very clear, and this is not any news to you, I know, but I think it is my responsibility and duty to remind you that the research is clear that a school's capacity to improve instruction and student learning is led by the principal. First of all, the principal. We have to have the principal. However, the involvement of teachers in school improvement efforts, the structures and the processes that support collaborative learning among educators, and the knowledgeable skills and beliefs that educators bring to their work and to their colleagues is what brings it together. Like Dr. Hinojosa said, it starts with the principal. But if you, the teachers, don't jump in with that knowledge and skills, then the rest of it doesn't work. Today, you're going to see that during the day, you're going to find how exactly this is going to work. During the day, we're going to give you the pieces that will come together for you in your respective areas. So as we move forward, and this is supposed to move forward, I'm not sure exactly where I'm supposed to click. So I need a little technical assistance here. There it is. And now I have one more. Let's advance one more slide. Perfect. Okay. All right. So this is how it works. Deming asserts that every system is perfectly designed to achieve the results that it gets. Our system is not any different. The inputs or the investments in our new instructional leadership coaches, our resources, and our continuous training model is setting us up for even more success as we, in teaching and working, work collaboratively with school leadership to assure a coherent path for our campuses to follow. Part of what you're going to see today is that work between teaching and learning and school leadership. You're going to see that these sessions were put together collaboratively. They were co-constructed. They weren't constructed by teaching and learning and given to them and say, okay, go deliver these lessons. They were really actually co-constructed. Why is that important? Because the coaches will be with you 4 days a week. That's why it's important. You as teachers have to know that what your coaches are guiding you to do is what teaching and learning and the curriculum is going to also support you with, so that you're not going to have that struggle between what do I do? Do I go to this side or do I go to the other? There are no sides to take. We're working this together. The guarantee that we want to give you today is that we'll continue to work on this alignment through the work of our ILCs, our professional development, and guess what? Now you are CILT members. This is an opportunity that we have that we had not had in a while to really roll it out in a district-wide measure, because as Dr. Hinojosa said, some of you may have had your CILT at your campus and you might have been doing it by yourselves. Now you know that you have hundreds of other folks that are doing the same thing and that will be working collaboratively throughout the school district. If we can move on to the next slide, please. Hello? Slide mover in the sky. They told me this morning, Mr. Ant, all you have to do, there we go. Okay. All right. Dylan William reminds us that learning is not a process. It is an event. A winning culture, which is what we've got here in Dallas, and Dr. Hinojosa spoke eloquently about that culture that we have, is made up of that campus alignment between academic press and a welcoming, warm environment. You need both. If you have either, if you have that academic press, you're going places, or if you have a warm environment, that's nice, but you really need both. And with the academic press, of course, that includes our focus, our sense of responsibility, intensity, and that urgency about our instructional program. We can get excited about a lot of things. I'm one of the few people around our table that gets excited about a new curriculum. Now you can join me in that excitement about our new curriculum. So please keep in mind that our CILT members, as important as it is to have success and a well-constructed plan, that plan of action is only as good as our CILT members. So as we look at our year, we're going to see that throughout the year, we're going to be coming back together again. We've got 5 more sessions that we will join each other with, and 5 more opportunities for you as CILT members to join other folks in the city that are doing exactly the same thing that you are, and 5 more opportunities for you to come back, as we say, just in time. So that will be right before every 6 weeks, you as CILT members will come in and see what the next 6 weeks is about. No, right now, the curriculum is being rolled out. We've already got the second unit out. So August the 20th, that second unit will roll out. So we're quite a few steps ahead of where we thought we were going to be at this time. So it is a new curriculum, and it was written by you. Many of you in the audience were part of the authors, but they have been vetted and edited. So any great thing we know has to go through that process. So this isn't just the great kickoff. It is an enormously great kickoff district-wide, but it's the beginning of that process, and that process that will continue throughout the year. In closing, please keep in mind that you, our CILT members, are as important to achieving success as that well-constructed plan of action. Either is good. It's great to have a plan of action, but it's better to have both our plan of action and you, our CILT members, who are willing, ready, and able to put that together. Because the combination of that is what will continue to give us that groundbreaking success that some of you have already experienced and some of you are just about to experience. Thank you very much. Now, what I'd like to do at this point is I'd like to reintroduce my comadre. You know what a comadre is? And, Yvonne Durant translates comadre as co-mother. Comadre. So my comadre, Stephanie Elizalde, our Chief of School Leadership. Stephanie.
Thank you, Dr. Durant. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes, and I can't move this mic, and I'm taller than, okay, here we go. All right, that was a little awkward. The idea that I want to reinforce that has already been mentioned by the previous speakers very eloquently is the fact that team is the focal point of how we're going to continue to move forward. You all have done tremendous work. And sometimes when Dr. Hinojosa, myself, Dr. Durant, Mr. Cordero, our deputy chiefs, our chief of staff, whoever are members of his leadership team, we run across people and they say, congratulations, great work. And Dr. Hinojosa often says, it wasn't us. It was our staff on our campuses. We have taught absolutely 0 children this year, which is a really true statement. I have taught 0 kids. You taught the kids. And the more we get together as a team and allow you the opportunity, the more successful we're going to be. But when I saw the word change, and I was really excited with the Dylan quote about learning being that process, an ongoing process. It's not a moment in time. It doesn't finish. It's not, there, check, learning. It's a process. But at these events, because I'm sitting up on stage thinking about what did I used to think about when I was sitting where you're sitting? And sometimes I'd be sitting with my arms crossed. I don't know why I'm here. I already know what I need to do. And I got nothing because I put nothing in. And it's very easy sometimes when we've had some success to say, why do I need to change? And what I would challenge all of us, beginning with myself, it's not that we need to change, it's that we need to improve. The day we get up in the morning and don't think we can do better than we did the day before is the day none of us should call ourselves educators. I get up every morning and I say, I get to go to work. Not I have to go to work. I get to go to work. We want to create an environment that continues to support you feeling like you get to go to work. And sometimes we can be fire extinguishers and put out your fire without intending to do so. So this year, I think CILT will also be a wonderful venue to provide us feedback so that we too can continue in the learning process and improve how we provide support and service to you. But team is so important that I'm going to close with an analogy that I recognize. It's a basketball analogy. I had no boys in my family, so my father insisted I learn some sports. So, I'm going to preface this by saying I think LeBron will go down as probably the best basketball player ever. But I'm not a LeBron fan. So, having spent 25 years of my career in San Antonio, and I was 12 when I started. It took you a few minutes, but a few of you got that. The year the San Antonio Spurs won the NBA championship. Yes, San Antonio, anybody out there? Okay. So they beat LeBron's team. But LeBron was absolutely the most talented player on that opposing team against the Spurs. But 5 beats 1 every day of the week and twice on Sundays. So your team is what is going to make the difference. So remember that our minds are like umbrellas. They only work when they're open. I hope you truly enjoy today. You will get out as much as you put in. Thank you.
I'm Nikki Mouton, Deputy Chief Academic Officer.
And good morning, I'm Brian Lusk, Deputy Chief of School Leadership.
We are delighted to be here with you today, and we just want to take this moment to just go through what CILT actually will be, how it will work this year, and what you've signed up for. So while we know this is not the perfect classroom situation, here we go. We are teachers, and we will forever be teachers, so we will take a little teachable moment here. I want you to look at this slide for a second and turn and talk with your elbow partner. You got to promise me that you'll come back together after a minute, but turn and talk and just discuss what that means to you. What does that slide show?
If they don't come back together, you and I'll just walk up the stairs. Will you handle the clicker?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, you got them going.
If you can finish your statement, then we'll come back together. Oh, God. You guys are amazing. That's wonderful. Now here comes the difficult part. You might have noticed that there is a microphone down front. I absolutely need a volunteer to come share your elbow discussion. Pretty please, my boss and my boss's boss and boss's boss's boss are on the stage, so please, somebody come. Yes.
When your boss demands that someone comes up to make her boss looks good, you come to the mic.
Well done, Rick.
So what we talked about over here is four kind of main properties, is connection being the most important, intentionality, design, and then just overall the way that those things flow together to actually create the light and make the power come on. One other thing we talked about that was interesting is when we flip and we think make power happen, we flip the switch. And we think that's the most important part. But you'll note that the switch is in the same position in both pictures. So that's not what actually makes the light come on. It's that intentionality, that connection, and that focus. Thanks.
Thank you. Phew, checks in the mail. So, as Tim so eloquently put it, there are connections in the system versus the heap. And what I want you to take away from this picture, that in a heap, I can move any of those pieces and it will have no impact on that heap at all. You can take the light away, the heap still exists. You can take the switch away, the heap is still there. You can even add something else, and it won't change the heap. It's just a pile, right? When you're looking at a true system, when you move something out of that system or you disconnect something, you influence the entire system. Every piece matters. Every piece matters. The light bulb is not going to light without that connection, right? So the takeaway here is every piece of CILT, the instructional leadership coaches, the campus instructional coaches, your leadership team, the other teachers in your school, the district leaders, we are all a part of a system, and when we're working in concert, our light bulbs are bright. We're never going to be a heap in Dallas ISD. We're always going to be a system.
All right, so hang on a second. So we're sitting on the stage, and you know, she has a doctor. You may or may not know that, but you know, I respect her greatly. And I said, hey, Nikki. She said, yes. I said, that visual that you have there, heap, is that like a research term, or where does that come from? And because I'm not a doctor, she fixed me, and she said, no, I just liked it, so I put it there. So anyway, she's a doctor, and she put a cool visual there, and I was hook, line, and sinker. So as we turn to this quote from Peter Senge, the author of The Fifth Discipline, and a well-known author, and more importantly also an MIT professor, It really captures the essence of what we're hoping to accomplish in the idea of systems thinking and thinking about how CILT ties right into the work that we do. So if you'll indulge me for the folks who may not be able to see the text in the back, I will read it aloud. Systems thinking is a discipline for seeing wholes. It is a framework for seeing interrelationships rather than things, for seeing patterns of change rather than static snapshots. And I think that last visual that we compared and contrasted, what we saw on the left side were things, and what we saw on the right side were interrelationships. And CILT is exactly what we're trying to make happen on the right side, is that those relationships that help connect the dots from the work that's happening centrally with teaching and learning and school leadership to what's happening most importantly on the ground at your campus. So Sanjay in his work talks a little bit about systems and systems thinking in learning environments, and specifically he talks about, he says people's mental model often is a computer system. And he said, but that's not really the model I think is the right one. He said, because it's so abstract and it's hard to understand. So he turns us to the idea of families. He said families are easy to understand because we all have them, usually about 15 people. He used the number 15. He said about 15 people, and in your mind's eye, you can picture them, and you can see that the actions that they take lead to outcomes, whether we like the outcomes or not. So he turns us to those systems. And so as we connect the dots from central staff to the schools where the work is happening, we think about the families and the work that's happening inside of schools, and we think about schools as families. And I would offer today that as a CILT, your team is a family, starting with the principal as the leader, but leading from the middle to make sure that the work is happening in a collaborative way. And I think the other thing I would say is he talks about intentionality. And yesterday we heard from our chief of school leadership, our principals did, and she talked about systems and how intentionality really shapes a system. But oftentimes, systems are also created because of not being intentional. So we are being very intentional in the development of CILT, the recreation of CILT. We're very excited about it, but we also know it's the intentionality that we take that's going to matter. So what we ask of you is that you be intentional about the work that you do so that you can influence and make an impact in the work that we do across our schools.
So of course, we would not be educators if we didn't have some type of pictorial representation of how all of this comes together. We've spent so many hours thinking about the connection between school leadership, teaching and learning, campus leadership, teachers, principals, and we wanted to share with you how we think we can all work together to unlock the potential of all of our students. So what you'll notice is, of course, we're Dallas ISD, and you'll notice that other picture there shows that we are moving on up. While we've made great strides, we are on a great trajectory to do even greater things. Leading from the classroom, leading from where you are. Leadership is not necessarily just about a position. It's about influence and making sure that we all use that influential power we have. Learning. If we're not learning, we're not growing. If we're not growing, go home. It's as simple as that. Learning. It's our job to be the lead learners on our campuses. It's our job to be the lead learners at the district level and to work closely with you. School leadership, teaching and learning, working together. Instructional lead coaches, working with campus instructional coaches. Coaches, coaching coaches. We've heard lots of sports analogies this morning. The best of the best don't get better without coaching. The same is true in teaching and learning. So coaches, coaching, coaches, and then coaching teachers. And it doesn't come from a title. It comes from that role of influence. You're on the CILT team. You are a coach of coaches. I will turn the slide. There we go. CILT team has the key to unlock the potential of all of our students.
Okay, so we heard our superintendent this morning talk about leaders are only as good as their people, and I think that's such a true statement, and we know in schools where there's collaborative leadership, we see the outcome and results of the people around that leader making that happen. But we're going to turn to alphabet soup for a moment. You know, in education, we like acronyms and letters for everything, TEA, PLCs, PD. Today we're going to turn to CILT, of course, CILT, ILCs and CICs. So as we think about this, we want to connect some dots for you this morning so that we can make sure that the connection is clear going forward as to how the work will happen. So first we're going to turn to CILT, our Campus Instructional Leadership Team. And if you've read any of John Cotter's work in Leading Change, he talks about guiding coalitions. And essentially, you can give whatever label you want to a group of people empowered to move an organization, but Cotter uses the term guiding coalition. But essentially, that's what we see the CILT as, a group of people empowered to make a difference with a collective vision for the campus. But specifically, so what is their role? Well, it's for CILT, of course, it is to be to attend learning sessions and from central office support from teaching and learning, and then take that learning and bring it back to the campus, bring it back to the principal, and find ways to make sure that learning comes alive, not just in their classroom, but more importantly across the organization. And they hopefully help provide professional development. In addition, obviously, the role of the CILT would be to provide support specifically in PLCs, professional learning communities, after-school professional development, and then, of course, any other way that is deemed appropriate by the campus principal and the CILT team. And the CILT team members, as you heard earlier from Dr. Durant, will be fed throughout the year. And I say fed because I think all of us, like LeBron James, a great athlete, he doesn't eat food that's bad for him, right? He has to eat well, he has to exercise, and our eating well and exercise is professional development. So you'll be fed throughout the year 6 times, one of which will be today. But that support will be ongoing, and we're excited about that because we know that one-shot learning does not make the difference. It's over time support that's going to make the difference. So the CILT members essentially are a guiding coalition or group to help the principal make decisions and bring the learning back to the campus. As we turn to the ILCs, the Instructional Leadership Coaches, they are working in conjunction with school leadership and teaching and learning, and there's a reading CIC generally and a math CIC assigned with each executive director within the work within our networks so that they can help move this work, move the specific professional development that you're getting and that will be received across the district to make sure it's implemented well and provide technical support on campuses with coaches and to principals. And essentially they will be fed on a weekly basis where they will collaborate with school leadership and teaching and learning so that they sharpen the saw on a regular basis. And then as we turn to our campus instructional coaches, as you know, it's a school-based decision. So in some schools we have 1, in some schools we have 3 or 4, depending on the budget and depending on the need based on the principal and that respective team. But essentially the campus instructional coach, I won't spend much time defining the roles. I think we generally know what their role is, but the important component is that they also are serving and supporting teachers in professional learning communities inside and outside the day and for professional development. And finally, they will receive ongoing embedded professional development from our ILCs. So we really feel like we have a system that works. There aren't things in isolation, and they are going to make our system even better than it already is. So I'll turn it back over to Nikki.
So we know the what. We know the why. Now let's just go over the how. What we're expecting of you as CILT members. Number 1, you're systems thinkers now. You're thinking about the entire interconnectedness of the system. So you're going to seek to understand the big picture. What's really happening here? What are those cause-effect relationships? What's the big picture and what is it telling us? You're going to analyze for patterns and trends in the system. What are we noticing longitudinally over time? What's happening with our students at X grade level, in X classroom, at X time, over time? You're going to identify cause and effect relationships. Also, it doesn't say it, but you'll look for those causal relationships too, correlational relationships, May not be cause effect, just may be in the same environment at the same time. So the correlational relationships. You're going to test assumptions. That means you have to be willing to take risk and be willing to fail at the first attempt, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth, because you're going to test those assumptions. You have to determine where those unintended consequences may be and plan accordingly. Doesn't mean that we run around feverishly. Doesn't mean that we get our fire extinguishers out. We just understand that this was fallout. Let's course correct and keep moving in the right direction. And then last but certainly not least, you're going to assess those leverage points that can be used to change the system. When you notice that there's a teacher in your building who's not adding their voice to the table, who's not participating in the PLC, who's not giving just their all, maybe a little disengaged, you're going to invite them in. You're going to probe. You're going to encourage, because together we'll all make this happen and it'll be successful. We have no room and no time for individuals on the bench. So pull them off and put them in the game. Yeah, we all get that. So before we move on to our housekeeping, I just have to do this because I feel like we should have done this in the beginning. If you are a teacher in Dallas ISD, please stand and be recognized.